Mr. Blandino, that's you, right?
Yes, sir, you're addressing me?
I am addressing you. Let me get a picture of you here. Now, you came into my private office about something. Because of that, you can't be in this courtroom right now. So you have to go.
No, I don't think that's true.
All right, well, I'm ordering you to leave this courtroom right now.
Okay.
If you don't get out within 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds, you're gonna be held in contempt.
You're out of order.
All right. Have a good morning. Don't stop people.
Ladies and gentlemen, the district attorney is going to show for the video. There are certain parts of that video that have been redacted by the parties. You're not to infer anything from that or consider that at all in deliberating this case.
All right. So we're going to go to the next piece of footage here. This is the digital video file entitled as follows. 28-08-2018 underscore 09-47-04M dot MP4. At this time, I'm going to play this particular video.
City versus Kim Blandino, case number S01152672, A, B, C, D, and E.
Time and date set for trial is the city. Thank you. City ready to proceed, Mr. Corey it is?
Yes, it is, Your Honor, and the city is ready to proceed.
All right. So, let me ask you, is there any witnesses that are going to testify in this trial that need to remove themselves from the court?
Okay, just pausing right there, 22 seconds into this footage. Does this appear to be the continuation after your break in handling the other cases where you pick up on Mr. Blandino's trial on that same day, August 28, 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Playing it from that point.
Until they are called to testify by either the city or the defense. Anybody? You're not. He's the traffic officer. He's gonna be first up, right? He's gonna sit. Is he gonna be first up?
Trooper Commissioner is the only witness the city has.
Who else we got here?
That's it. These are, you probably know for the next session.
You guys here early? All right. It might be a little bit. So, if you want to go and do something else, I won't. If you want to come back 10, 15 minutes, I'm gonna say you guys are stuck here because I see your faces sometimes. So I'm not gonna issue a bunch more. All right. Okay. Any other? I just want to let you know, you mentioned that you were, not that you're probably just saying that I'm great, you look fine to me, but if you don't want to stand during this trial, you don't have to. It's not disrespectful as far as I'm concerned. You're not an attorney. You can sit, stand, do whatever, especially if you're going to have medical issues.
You didn't ask me if I was ready.
Well, I'm talking to you about, it's kind of funny. It seems like you want to engage me because I try to be polite. I try to be as nice as I can be, especially the people that represent themselves. And then you smack me down with these comments that don't have anything with me to say. I mean, I guess you're looking to pick a fight with me because you're looking to get me recused. It's not going to work because I think I have a reasonably good temperament. And I can handle the BS that people throw at me sometimes, at least to a certain threshold. And then when I get too much, then I threaten with contempt. So I'm just kind of letting you know, it wasn't my fault. Okay, fair enough? Yes?
Yes,
I appreciate that. So, now, is the defense ready to proceed?
I have if I proceed with trial, I have a record.
Well, you have to proceed with trial because, hold on, remember the rule. When the judge is speaking, he's not listening to other people. That's what we learn as lawyers. The judge speaks, I shut up. And I know to shut up as the person in front of the judge. I'm in front of judges all the time because he's not listening and he's just going to get upset with me, and that would kind of suck. So, with that being said, go ahead.
If I were to go forward with trial, I would have been deemed by the court. I've read thousands of cases of law. I was in the law library every minute of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year that it was open. I read more case law probably than most lawyers there are. And I know that if I were to acquiesce to this trial, it would be considered waiver. All that they would say was, well, we find out later that this, I think your name is Federico, and got it stated.
Michael Federico.
Federico.
F-E-D, not Federico, it's F-E-D.
Now I know that, okay.
Yeah.
Federico. Now, all they would say is, well, after the fact, we found out there was no disqualifying factor, therefore it was harmless error. But the point is, I lose my legal issue then, so therefore, I am not going to trial today. I'll go to trial. If you bring Elizabeth with
So
Elmer
here's
History here,
here's
I
the
will
deal,
go to trial.
there's two choices, you either go to trial, or if you're not appearing at trial, then there's a bench warrant issue, and then we basically remand you and reset the trial because you missed it. You're here, we're going to trial. If you walk out and don't put up a defense, well, then that's your choice. You're on notice, you're here today, there's no civil rights issues, and by the way, I do civil rights cases too, so there's no civil rights issues here. You are here, you have a whole bunch of documents, you spoke a lot more than I thought you would, you kind of surprised me with the argument for demand for dismissal, although you argued outside of the motion, that's just fine. You gotta deal with this kind of situation. So, you're not ready to proceed, I believe you are. So over your agreement, over your objections, it's all noted on the record, we are proceeding right now. Anything else that's relevant at all, even remotely to this trial?
I object to the fact that you said I'm not ready to proceed. I'm ready to proceed if Elworth Winter were here. If Elworth Winter were here, I would proceed.
Well, you're ready to proceed, it's not relevant who the judge is at this point. So you're ready to proceed, we're done with that, great. Now, city may call the first witness.
City calls the stand Lloyd Faulkner.
Where is, he's right there.
I object to this witness. I had I asked for discovery and I have I have not gotten a list of this witness. I haven't gotten his name and address.
Okay, hold on a second. Do we have a copy of the complaint information?
No, there should be
Hold on.
There should be a copy of the citation. Mr. Faulkner is listed as the trooper who issued the citation, providing notice that this would be a witness at the trial.
And
I'm entitled to his name and address by law.
hold on.
I object. You cannot take the stand.
Well, the address wouldn't matter, you see.
Oh, yes, it does.
Because you don't have to subpoena him, because guess what? He's here for cross-examination.
No.
So, stop talking right now. Let me take a look at this. So basically, hey! I don't like raising my voice to people, so cut it out.
Sorry. I
Please,
apologize.
please.
I apologize. I was raised in a time home. It's tough.
So is that. So, hold on. All right. So, all we have is a traffic citation, right? And possibly there might be cam coverage, maybe.
That is correct, Your Honor. We're providing further as well.
Yeah, this isn't a criminal matter like, domestic violence or DUI, and you got police reports, anything. It's a citation that was issued to just a traffic matter. We're in traffic court.
I object. I need to make a record as to why this thing is objectionable. If I don't have this.
What else do you need to say for the record, sir?
He's still required to have the name, full name and address, which only have a first initial and name. The address is important because if someone wants to do a private investigation of the individual to see if he's a chronic drunk or alcoholic or have any other things that impinge or tend to impeach his credibility as a witness, I'm entitled to at least have the option to pursue that. That's what the whole thing is about, a list of witnesses and their address. I shouldn't have to have, do some kind of massive CIA or NSA thing to find out where this man lives. And the city attorney likes to fudge with the rules by saying his address is where he works at the highway patrol. If I tried to do that on a license and say my address was where I work, I'd be getting a ticket from the same trooper for not changing the address. You have 30 days in Nevada to change your address, and you can't put your work address on there. This is out of the line. This witness must be disqualified.
Don't point the witnesses.
Okay, he must be disqualified. This is a surprise witness. I have had no chance to do. I asked him, is your first name Trooper? I said, well, that's a real unusual name. When I was 30 days ago, and I said, it's a real unusual first name, Trooper. He didn't correct me, trying to get his first name, and couldn't do it. I know you think this is traffic and it's minor, but this is criminal. I could go to jail.
I never, ever said traffic court is minor, and do me a favor and don't offend the judge sitting in traffic court by saying something like that. I actually take it more serious than most people over here, because I hear other types of cases too. It's really serious. Do you understand?
I
Do
thought
you understand that's what I said on the record?
I
Don't ever say this is minor, or that I would think it was
I
minor.
thought you said it wasn't a real criminal matter or something like that.
But, over your objection, you made your record, very good record for yourself. If you, in fact, you were right, excuse me on that. Trooper M. Faulkner, and he's got his ID here.
That's not.
You're arguing form over substance today, and you have your arguments. Have a seat.
It says name.
I said, thank you. Did you get sworn in yet? Why didn't you stand for a little while? Sorry.
I'm objecting to this.
Hey, no, you already objected. So,
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
You may be seated.
Have a seat. State your full name for the record.
Lloyd Faulkner.
Right. And over the defense objection as to this witness being a surprise witness and everything else he's already said, city may proceed. Have a seat, sir.
Pause right there, 9 minutes and 24 seconds. That individual who just took the stand, is that the witness stand?
Yes, just like this is the witness stand.
Okay. And that individual was identified as Trooper Lloyd Faulkner?
It would sound like it, yes, it was the individual that was sitting in the back that I thought might have been the traffic officer.
Okay. And does he appear to be wearing a Nevada Highway Patrol uniform?
It's a uniform, I can't tell, but I'm pretty sure it was NHP.
Okay. And Mr. Blandino had objected to not receiving the law enforcement officer's home address prior to trial. Is that right?
That's correct.
Is that something that ever occurs?
I don't believe I've ever heard anybody do that. Officers don't give their addresses for safety reasons. And it's very common for people to have their work addresses, whether it's, Metro or whether it's NHP or anybody else. To me, it was more of a intimidation, trying to get an address of a witness.
Okay, and so it sounded like you had, in looking at that issue that the defendant had raised, you looked at the citation that was issued, is that right?
Yes,
And did you determine that it was that trooper that issued the citation and gave his name and badge number of the agency he worked for?
yes.
Okay. I'm gonna play it back from that point.
Would you state your first and last name and spell your last name for us?
Lloyd Faulkner, last name Faulkner.
And how do you employ him?
Nevada Highway Patrol.
That's his name?
Lloyd Faulkner.
That's two L's?
Yes,
And I'm sorry, would you repeat that? How are you employed?
Nevada Highway Patrol
How long have you been with Highway Patrol?
for 10 months.
And what were you doing before you worked for Highway Patrol?
I was a deputy sheriff in Wisconsin,
In Wisconsin. How long were you a deputy sheriff in Wisconsin?
8 years.
Now,
First time, anytime.
I'm sorry, what's it?
Anytime.
If I could draw your attention to March 8th, 2018, were you working for Nevada Highway Patrol at that time?
Yes, I was.
And what was your position at that point?
I was a trooper,
Okay.
highway patrol with the highway.
Now, at any point, actually, let's not say anything, let's be more specific. At 9:01 in the morning, were you in the area of US 95, just north of Jones?
Yes,
Is that located within the city of Las Vegas?
yes it is.
And what were you doing in that area?
I was on routine patrol.
At any point, did you see a silver Nissan truck?
Yes,
What were your intentions to that vehicle?
the driver was holding a cell phone in his hand up near his face area.
What's the objection? What's the basis?
My standing objection first is I'm not participating in this trial, but I'm given
You can have a standing objection. Standing objection is fine. What about the testimony? You're not gonna do this for purposes of interruption, because that would be improper by an attorney and pro se attorney in fact. So you're not gonna do it to interrupt, because this is already an interruption. You say, objection, speculation, objection, calls for hearsay, Objection, narrative, objection, qualification, that's the way we object in my
You're
court.
right.
That's the way I object in other people's courts.
I apologize.
That's what, no, it's okay, I'm just like, yeah.
I understand that, and I do understand that, and you're right.
But you were to
I
basis.
would have been participating in the.
Your statement objections are not gonna be allowed in court. So again, what's the objection, sir?
I
You're-
apologize, I'm not participating in this trial. I asked for clarification of his name because that appears on the witness issue.
Okay,
Sorry, I apologize. Yeah.
okay, keep going.
Okay, just to get back on track then, so, what drew your attention to this, truck again?
The driver was, had a cell phone in his hand up towards his face.
Is that's something that you, witnessed yourself?
Those are,
I'm pausing it right here, 12 minutes and 14 seconds. What are we seeing Mr. Blandino do now?
No, he's participating, but then he's also protesting if the trial is going forward. In other words, he didn't move on from the fact that I, overruled his objection that it's a time and date for trial and your motion to dismiss is denied. So he's spinning in his chair and
Mr.
doing
Mr. Blandino, I gotta be able to hear the witness.
I'm sorry, did I?
Go ahead.
I apologize.
At this point in time in the video, is he turned his back to you and the witness?
It appears so. I remember him kind of spinning and moving around in his chair, and because he's pro se, I
Like,
give leeway.
Is this a normal way to sit in a trial?
Absolutely not. I would never, ever do that as an attorney. Never.
Okay.
Never.
I'll go ahead and play it from this point.
yes,
And what did you do in response to seeing him?
I initiated a traffic stop on that vehicle.
And what happened after you made the stop?
I approached from the passenger side, met with the driver. Driver stated that his radio didn't work in his truck, and he had the radio playing, held up to his ear so he could hear it.
And so just for clarity then, that he was using the cell phone to listen to the radio?
Listen to the, radio on his phone, music on his phone.
Okay, and just for that clarity, then, it's not that the radio was coming through the truck radio, this is
Correct.
just playing through.
He didn't have earbuds or anything like that?
And he did not.
Just had the phone up by his.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
I asked the driver for his identification, which he presented me with an Arizona identification card. It should also be noted that he had Montana license plates on the truck.
And was there anything noticeable or significant to you about having Montana plates?
I asked him what the significance of the Montana plates were. He had told me that prior to this, he had told me that he had received citations from North Las Vegas PD in the past. So I had
For what? For having out-of-state plates?
I believe so, don't quote me on it, but I believe so.
He actually admitted that to you? That he got.
I can't exactly remember the fact, but there were some citations from North Las Vegas PD for some violations.
Your Honor, clarification?
Have seen if you do that in cross.
No, I just.
I said, sit down, clarification on cross.
So, and anything else that you noticed after you asked for?
Yes. While speaking with him, he had a number of things in the truck, papers, and I noticed his name on some envelopes with a Las Vegas local address on it.
Where were
Which
those items located in?
They were on the front seat. It was a single cab truck, so they were on the seat area.
Just make sure that I'm not misunderstanding, these were letters or items of mail?
Items of mail, yes.
And were these visible from where you were standing?
Yes, they were.
And you had mentioned there was an address on there with a Nevada address?
Yeah, local address. So what happened next? So based on that information, seeing that information and him admitting that he had North Las Vegas citations, that's where the resident, non-resident violations came in as far as registration and driver's license. Records checks show that he didn't have a valid driver's license. He just had the Arizona ID card. And also he was unable to provide me with proof of insurance as required.
I'm sorry, I did have a hard time hearing that. Did you say he was or was not able to provide the insurance?
He was not able to provide insurance.
No insurance from any state?
That's correct.
Did you discuss with him the insurance again? You know, why wasn't the car was insured or?
I asked for insurance, like I normally do, ask for people to provide the proof of insurance, and he could not provide me with any. I don't remember if he gave me an explanation.
Of course, brief indulgence.
Did he tell you how long he'd been living in this state?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
Go ahead.
What was the end result of your, I'm sorry, scratch that question for now. Do you see the driver of that vehicle in the court today?
Yes, I do.
And can you indicate who that person is and describe an article of clothing?
He's standing up there in a suit and red tie, with a vest on, glasses.
May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
Because the record
Yes, he
reflects,
actually stood up for him too.
can I reflect the record that I just stood up out of courtesy just to speed up this,
I figured yes, so reflected, you're right.
just as courtesy.
Appreciate that.
Now, were you wearing body cam that day?
Yes.
Now, with the court's permission, the city will overcome his technical.
Do I need to go down there?
His
Like, I remember the city attorney was doing this and he had to go down there. And he's gonna make sure the defendant has a history too. That's the most important for the defense.
I'm sorry, what are we doing here?
We're looking at body cam footage.
I object, this is not a matter of trial, I object of anything being introduced even as a pre-trial matter. I know I received that in discovery, but there was nothing to authenticate what this is here.
Are you using it right now as demonstrative evidence or are you offering it as evidence?
The city will be seeking to authenticate it through the trooper in order to have it admitted as an exhibit.
Okay. Let's go from there.
But again, for clarification, this is not a matter of trial, this is a matter of pre-trial authentication issue.
Your Honor, it appears that the player might require administrator access to function.
Who's the administrator? The gal sitting next to me on the right?
I'm not sure if it's her or if we have to have the IT guys do it. Karen, would you mind contacting one of them and seeing whether we can?
I've had a city attorney play these before.
Correct, I think the issue is the player. They needed administrative permission because maybe a new type of player that's.
I would like, since there's speculation going on, I would like to speculate that possibly God is causing this.
The what?
God might have divine intervention and causing this.
You know, it's always a possibility.
He works in mysterious ways.
You know, while we're waiting, just a couple more.
Do you have a laptop with you that we can all look at it there?
I do not, Your Honor. Possibly my office could have one. I wish I contact them.
No, hold on. It's the time of day of the trial, we're moving along, we're not gonna delay it or something. We already had a motion for the defendant for a while.
Understood.
We're going forward over his objections, so we're gonna do this next. It'll take, wait for a couple hours, so.
Understood.
Wait a little bit of time,
I'm just.
I myself had technical difficulties.
I have 10
More than
seconds.
10 seconds.
I have 10 seconds to get a glass of water.
I said that was, didn't I say that was a figure of speech?
Only after I do that.
I didn't expect you to zip out of here, so just cut out the collateral banter, please, please.
Can I continue your question?
Have a seat.
What is it, next time then?
Have a seat.
I'm still having a hard time hearing the question.
What is the screen time you need?
Jeff, I think this shows.
Listen, you've already made your record, so just gonna wait.
It says, do you want this?
When I get irritated with abusing this, then I start speaking.
Apologize for interrupting. Karen, it says you want to allow the staff from the publisher to make changes to your device, paper.exe. And then it says, it looks like you just need administrative permission to allow the player to function.
Absolutely, go ahead. You got at least 3 minutes seconds, how's that, sir?
Your Honor,
You went out for that, you can do this too, so I'll make sure that, I'm sure. We'll receive your what we're gonna do is, and the better remain there, sometimes we do this out of order, we're gonna take two time. Okay.
I would have been a bench warrant, I've been arrested if I had been untimely like this. You're showing bias toward the city attorney's
If
position.
you had technical difficulty, or if you do, I would give you the same courtesy. And to see, listen, your objection is noted, you don't like it, you don't want me to take anything out of order. Happens all the time, but your objection is noted, for the record. So, you can sit right there. You don't have to move. That's your stuff, and no one's allowed to touch your stuff. You're gonna be right here if you call us.
Oh, sorry.
Might give you a little bit of time to prep for your cross anyway, if you want to fully prep. But, okay. Any cases that we can call while we're waiting so we can move along judicial efficiency?
Can I start selecting?
Absolutely. Just stay in the room in case we need you back, sir, so we know you didn't, obviously, I know you're not leaving because your stuff's here, so.
This is the adrenaline.
You have coffee today?
No, it's just,
You just wired?
trial, against the adrenaline, or attempted trial, pre-trial.
You know it gets mine too, I'm in trial, so I understand.
We seem to have a minute, I don't know if the court will note, but we have a World War II veteran in here, very pleased that brought with me. She fought Hitler, helped defeat Hitler and Hillary. One of the bullets, she didn't fire, but the other was balanced.
Yeah, well, this isn't part of the case, but I appreciate letting you know that somebody like that down the court.
It's a great honor to have her here in the court of this court.
Are we looking at? What are you here for, council, 10:30s? What are you here for, video?
Are we ready to set the time deadline and all, Your Honor,
Yeah.
on the video?
I'm not doing that, when I decide that we're done, we're done, so just relax. Time's ticking. What are you gonna do?
I do have a few matters we can proceed with until forward.
Yeah, I'm saying, what are we waiting for?
Oh,
Court needs to know what we're waiting for.
Understood. I believe we're waiting to see whether an IT person can get here in a fast manner.
Real fast, yeah. I don't like this kind of stuff, especially when the defendants ask for continuance for saying they're going to participate, so make sure the people are here because of patience. Oh, so much.
Understood.
I've never been up to a reasonable.
I object again to the point of bias. It sure seems like you're more favorable to the city attorney than you're
It doesn't matter to me if it's a city, or if it's the county, North Las Vegas, or it's Henderson, where I've been all over the place. It makes no difference, and there's plenty of city
I'm saying in
attorneys,
reference to me.
DAs. There is none. I've given you a lot of leeway already. Trust me. Trust me. And that's definitely we get our meat on the bench. So,
All right, so, sir, we saw another break in the video, is that right?
Yes,
Appears there were some technical difficulties that went on for an extended period of time.
I think the screen we were looking at was the screen that was supposed to be showing the body cam footage from the officer. That's why you could hear us all talking or moving around, but you couldn't see anything. I remember it. Because the screen's blank and we're like, okay, we gotta get going, guys, in the city, hurry up. So that was most of the talking, hoping that the screen could suddenly start showing some body cam footage.
Ultimately, do those technical issues get resolved?
Yes,
And in the meantime, were you handling other cases?
it sounded like it. I think I was asking people in the audience, because you could see a little earlier people trickling in, group of people in the back. It's like, hey, what are you here on? Can we get this done? Because otherwise, we're just sitting here, wasting everybody's time. We want to move other cases along. Judicial expediency is what they call it. You're supposed to move the calendar along. And if this trial is delayed a little bit, a few minutes or even 10 minutes, then let's get some other cases heard so we get the people out. That's exactly what we do, and it sounds like that's what we're doing that day.
Okay. And then we'll go to the next video file. This is going to be entitled 28-08-208-11-11-05-21.
Recalling City versus Kim Blandino, case number X01152672 A, B, C, G, and E.
all right, the city ready to proceed with the technical difficulties.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here we are, stopping at 11 seconds into this footage. Does this appear to be the continuation of Mr. Blandino's traffic?
Yes.
Thank you for your.
Now, Mr. Blandino disappeared, he needed to go somewhere, and I said be back by 11. He did show up, and then I told him to sit down, and he left again. Anybody have any representations of where this guy went? Okay, what's the city's position right now? Would you like to go look for him, or are you asking the court for something right now?
The city's not inclined to hunt him down, I'm not sure where he went, Your Honor. So I can call him hall and see if he's out there.
I just want to say we got to issue a bench warrant for his arrest, but David, since I'm a kind person, can you go out and take a peek and see if he's out there and call him back in? Otherwise, we're going to have to remand him. Let him know he's got 1 minute from the point you speak to him to get his butt in here if you see him out there. I just don't understand. Never had so much instruction in my court for you always let a good folks with respect for court. And when you have this, I just don't understand. What do you say to that? What do you traffic? You basically said that.
So here we are, 1 minute, 57 seconds into the footage.
I've got something with the number, I just filed an emergency.
It showed that the recording had been paused. Was that done internally? That's done with the JAF system in the courtroom?
I believe so.
Okay, and what did we see? The defendant just wasn't back in court?
I think I told everybody we'll take a little bit of time. It sounded like I said, let's be back at 11 o'clock. We really make sure we're on the same page here. We have to keep moving along. It sounded like I said that the defendant, who's the defendant here, came back in for a moment and then disappeared again. And then apparently it was after 11 o'clock a.m. now, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And David is the name of, he was named the marshal in court that day because I recognized his face, although I don't think he's usually in there. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to, have people go out and arrest this guy. I mean, we're just trying to get this done. And so I sent out my marshal to go hopefully find him so we can bring him back in and let's get this over with.
And ultimately, now does Mr. Blandino come back into the courtroom?
I'm sure he does.
Okay.
I don't recall just sitting here, but I'm sure he does.
Okay, I'll play it from this.
Somehow he got back in.
I'll play it from this point in 2 minutes and 4 seconds.
Basis The girl has it, I'm just waiting for my file stamp
All right,
copies.
well, have a seat, we're going forward still. We're ready.
All I want is,
Hey, have a seat before I hold you in contempt. I don't want you to do that. Sit down. Thank you. All right. Do you have, we'll call the case again.
I didn't, oh, you made a policy.
Call it again. I said sit down. What's the...
All right, and then the video picks up again right after that, is that correct?
I think so. He kept hopping out of his seat. I
Okay.
don't recall though.
Okay, we're going to the video file that is entitled 28-08-08-20-11-11-07-53.
Are you kidding me? I said sit down, so stay seated. Do you understand this? Yes or no?
I understand.
You got something wrong with you, I think. Are you okay?
No, I'm gonna be in trouble. I've got a bad, high blood pressure and I need the water.
You shouldn't be running around in court. You've caused so much disruption in my courtroom today. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I exercise restraint. So cut out whatever the circus acts that you are performing and show me your empty cups. Okay, just cut it out. Okay. Listen, you pull this stuff anymore, I'm gonna hold you in contempt, and it'll be 25 days, and you will do it starting today, so cut it out. Straighten yourself out.
You get the paperwork?
No, sit right there, I said. Cut it out. All right, did you call the case? Did you at least call the case yet? I mean, that's how much delay. All these good folks are all waiting, and you're delaying the proceedings now, sir. Go.
Recalling Kim Blandino, case number X01152672, A, B, C, D, and E.
Put your hand down, sir.
How many other people work on the table?
Leave it where it is. All right. So, where we left off is the city having problems, technical difficulties. So, where are we now? Because I obviously am losing patience.
I understand, Your Honor, the technical difficulties were resolved and it's ready to play.
All right.
Object. There's a possibility of tampering with that tape. There was an IT person in here. It's well known how Photoshop can be used and all kinds of different ways to manipulate things. So we have no chain of custody. We have an IT person.
So your objection is authenticity. No speaking objections in this courtroom is overruled. They haven't even tried to lay foundation. Have a seat. Thank you.
I object authenticity.
The court can confirm whether this is showing up on the screen.
I see something. It looks like a rooftop. Probably from the camera, I don't know.
Alright, so, Trooper, I will be playing this and then pausing once you've had a chance to do enough of it. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see anything.
I can't see them.
Oh, sorry. So for authenticity purposes, I mean, I'm gonna sit here and you can try to lay the foundation over the defense objection. And then I will look at it.
Trooper, so anyway, I will let this play long enough for you to view and be able to authenticate whether this is in fact.
Objection foundation.
Overruled. It's premature to object.
Objection relevance.
I'm gonna pause that there. Do you recognize what you're sitting on, Trooper?
I do, yes.
What is it that you're sitting?
I was initially a traffic stop when he initially rapidly pulled over and started to get out of the vehicle.
So how is it that you recognize what it is that you're seeing?
It's my voice, my badge number. It looks like they started my patrol vehicle.
Now, is this a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
Yeah.
You're going to say moves to admit the exhibit 1, This is body cam video.
Pre-trial objection,
Well, we're in trial, so.
yeah,
What's your objection without speaking?
Are we admitting just this still photo?
So he's requesting to move the entirety of the video, so you can play the entirety of the video.
Entire video, what's your objection? I need a legal objection, not a sentence.
An objection.
I told you that many times.
Objection as to relevance, I have no idea what's on the rest of this, tape. It could be dancing girls in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that'd be a real problem if that's the case. Overruled at this point, his objection. Go ahead and play.
And Your Honor, just for the record, the city did provide a copy of the body cam to the defendant, and he has had an opportunity to view it if he chooses to.
When was that?
I can look up the date, Your Honor.
It was before today?
That is correct, Your Honor.
That satisfies my. Stop it for a second. Mr. Blandino, can you see that? Is your video operating?
I'm not a pre-trial objection.
Listen.
I can't see it.
Is your video monitor working for this?
Oh, the video monitor. It stopped.
Just for the record, it go down to this, but it takes you can see who's got behind that.
It stopped right now, it's not running.
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same one,
Why is mine so much lighter than the city attorney's?
Cut it out.
Lighter sharp.
Mine's fine. As a courtesy to the defendant, is what I checked. All right, go ahead and play.
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. You can have a continuing objection as to relevancy, you don't have to, so you have that if you like.
Like the relevance of
Would you like a continuing objection, yes or no?
What was the relevance of this?
Would you like a continuing objection, yes or no?
I'll object as they come up.
Okay.
What's going on? Okay, that's fine. Okay, I understand. I'm just super relaxed.
Objection foundation, you need to identify the persons on this video at this point.
Overruled.
So put your phone down. Okay, we're gonna sound you on your phone. I don't care if you listen to radio or not, it's in your hand. Okay? You can't have a radio in your hand. You can't have a phone in your hand. Yeah, you're using your phone, right? That's a radio. Yeah, right. It's your cell phone. Okay? Do you have a direct license on you? Registration, proof of insurance? I can hear it. I can hear it. Okay? Okay.
Your Honor, on indulgence, I need a recess, my program is really dripping wet, I'm really palpitating. Can I go to the restroom?
No, you may sit down,
I object.
and I object too. Remain seated. You guys got some issues for him? David, you can go ahead and help him out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
For where? For what state?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to make this out. Can the court make this out?
It's the international license out of Israel, and then just.
Okay. But yeah, is your video better than mine? Mine doesn't seem to be working very well. Can we turn this up a bit?
Let me take a look again. I will get up on my seat when I take a look and see what you're doing.
I'll just get, he's gonna come over and he's gonna give you.
Well, I like exercise, so it's just.
Does it make bring home again?
No,
No, I'm saying there's an audio, the audio, I can't hear it. I think you got better audio.
We're able to do the audio for the show.
I can try to turn it up over here, Your Honor, because of the court.
My audio doesn't seem to be very good here.
All right, I've increased the volume on
I
that.
appreciate it, seat, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Okay, what about insurance?
I don't hear it very well.
You got a paper in
I
favor.
can't hear you there, so it's.
Where's the family? What's the side straight? Not really agricultural. Okay, all right. Okay. So, what's your address?
You don't have any audio here.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Mr. City Attorney.
I don't have any audio here at all. I'm hearing what you're hearing from there.
Over here? Are you
Yeah, it
hearing-
seems like
Hold
it's-
on, hold on. Are you hearing well?
I am hearing it, Your Honor.
Yeah, you know, are you okay with him having a seat next to you?
I have no problem with that.
Have a seat next to the city attorney, then I want you to be able to hear what you appear to be saying.
Yeah, because there's nothing coming from there.
No problem. I appreciate
Can I
it.
bring my chair over there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry about that. How long is this?
You know,
Is this as long as this proceeding?
The room is entirely 38 minutes, the
How long?
38 minutes, the portion of the city, carries about 20 minutes, hours shorter than that.
Okay, good. All right. Ready, sir? Let me know when you're ready.
Yes, ready.
Okay. Go ahead and keep playing.
Oh, that's better.
What is it?
Good.
Okay, all right, where are you staying right now in Vegas?
Oh, for the record, the World War II vet that was referenced
No,
there?
not that. Stop that. Stop the video. Listen, have a seat.
Oh,
Have a seat.
just trying to
I
clarify.
said, have a seat. There's nothing to clarify. He's playing the evidence right now. If you want to do something, it's called cross-examination. I know you know this because you know enough when you're talking over here. So, on cross, you can talk about this. Right now, remain seated. You don't say anything unless you have some new objection. Because I already gave you a continuing objection to all. Let's see if you want it. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. No, I appreciate that, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, stay in the truck, okay, don't get out of your truck. You understand that? Okay. Stay in the vehicle, okay? Yes, I am. For being on your cell phone. Well, that's right now, I'm gonna run your name information. Go over there, okay? For what? Okay, what is that for, no license or what? Okay, okay, and how long ago was that? Okay, when were you stopped? November? Okay, all right, see you in the vehicle, sir.
At this point, the city that's showing us the city center, so if there's anything else in court.
I've heard it reasonably clear. Okay, so we'll stop the video for now and you go on to examination. Are you done?
Just two more questions.
All right, Mr. Let me give him a chance to move back over to this side. I appreciate that.
I want to get that audio fixed over here.
Well, you know, if you have crossed with the audio, then we'll just keep it right over there so you can do your thing from that chair, okay? Okay. All right, everybody's back in place. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Just a couple of brief questions. At the time that you witnessed the defendant driving, or excuse me, holding his cell phone up to his ear, was it been operating his vehicle at that time?
Yes, he was.
I will briefly show these to the defendant. These are documents sent by the DMV, certified copies from the DMV regarding the license status, as well as one regarding the registration status.
Which DMV is that? Is that it?
That is DMV.
Okay.
These are, they need certified copies, but, I would object to their introduction for relevance. These dates are so far flung that, could have come off the arc of knowledge.
What's your response to relevance? These are old documents.
That's a pre-trial section.
Or,
The city's response is that these are entirely relevant to the charges of driving without a valid, make sure I phrase it correctly, no driver's license.
what's the relevance of these data? What is the relevance of them saying the relevance of the charge?
These are
More than conclusory responses.
Okay, these are documents from the DMV regarding the status of his license and registration, regarding whether they were in fact, whether he had a valid license or registration with the state of Nevada.
And when were they obtained? What's the stamp of certification?
Yes, custodial file stamped at June 21st, 2018, on the license.
I've heard enough, overruled. Go ahead.
Your Honor, may the city approach the clerks?
Go ahead.
I'm not objecting to, to make clear, I'm not objecting to the
made a very good
certification
objection.
date.
That's
I'm
what I
not
said.
to the age in which the document is referred.
You know what? The record is clear, you made your objection, make your statements.
That's a pre-trial objection.
Okay, as you said before.
I'm gonna pause it right there. Your Honor, we have about 20 more minutes left of this video. I was just gonna ask the court if possibly anybody needed a bathroom break. I know it's been a while.
Take a recess. During this recess, you're admonished not to discuss or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, in any way regarding the case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication, or social media, or read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts, or commentary about the case, do any research, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet or using reference materials, make any investigation, test a theory of the case, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case till it's finally submitted to you, and will be in recess for 15 minutes.
Thank you. All rise for the next jury, please. Jurors? Apparently filed. I would just make note of NRS 174.435, which indicates that Mr. Federico is not subject to arrest or to process or anything at this
He's
point in
here
time.
pursuant to a subpoena, correct?
That's correct. He's here pursuant to subpoena.
I didn't see any subpoena in the record though, Mr. Dickerson.
Okay.
There's not going to be a subpoena in the record. He's under subpoena.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, no, you cannot serve him with any process while he's in the courthouse.
If I knew there was a record of the subpoena, I thought he was just here voluntarily. To come voluntarily, my understanding is he could be served.
Okay?
Well,
He's
without
not
the
gonna be
subpoena, I
served with
agree.
any process while he's in the courthouse, okay?
Of course, I tried raising that when they brought me into court many years ago, and they just poo-pooed it, so. What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander, as per usual.
And I would just note further that the state of Nevada subpoenaed all of our witnesses, so we send subpoenas out for all of our witnesses. So he is under subpoena, and I would just reference that, given his current status in the state right now, under the subpoena, he is not subject to service while in the state.
I agree.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, can I have notice of when that subpoena expires then for purposes of this hearing? Because
No,
the federal judge has only given me X amount of days to serve him by different third parties, so I've gotta have, here's the court order if you'd like it
All
reviewed.
right, you can bring the panel in.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Does the state stipulate to the presence of the panel?
We do, Your Honor.
Do you consent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may continue.
Thank you. So we're picking back up on State's Exhibit 32 on the last digital video file that we were on. We are currently at 16 minutes and 32 seconds into the footage we're going to begin playing from this point.
Now, the cities admit cities exhibits 2 and 3.
So, about that, okay?
That's correct.
Any objection other than what you've already said?
Well, what's the relevance of the document in terms of the charge? He hasn't explained it, all he has, you were right, it's just a conclusory response.
Anything else? Greg, you're admitted, what do they get, states, or cities what?
The cities exhibits 2 and 3, and I believe.
I apologize, which one is 2 and which one's 3?
Thank you, Your Honor. Cities exhibit 2 is relating to the driver's license. Cities exhibit 3 is relating to the registration.
All right, you're admitted to 2 and 3 as stated by counsel. You have a copy?
Also,
Are
just.
you still using it?
No, if I can approach her.
Because I want it.
Your Honor, if, just for city's sanity, let me make sure that I did in fact admit the body cam. If it has not been done so already, the city was to admit the body cam footage as the city's exhibit 1.
I don't remember whether you formally did that, and any objection other than what you've already stated?
That objection has for relevance and authentication, it still stands. I mean, the IT person could very well have, adopted that, so as a matter of law, I think it hasn't been properly authenticated because the chain of custody has been tampered with.
Authenticity and relevance is noted for the record will be ruled. The body cam is admitted as city's exhibit 1 then?
Yes.
Okay, city 1. Okay, anything else for this witness?
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, if any?
We need a recess prior to cross-examination.
No recess, there's no more of anything except doing this trial right now.
I'm standing objection.
Again, there's no more recess or anything else right now. As everybody's witnessing in this courtroom, it's time for cross-examination. And I bet you 9 out of 10 people here understand what I'm saying. So I suspect you're one of those 9. You want me to explain further what cross-examination is? Because you said you read thousands of books, you read more case law than most lawyers. Do you want me to explain something, or are you good to go?
I have a document there.
No. Again, cross-examination, we are here. You are president, the city's president, I'm president. I'm done with this game. We are going to finish this. Are you kidding me? Okay. You're either gonna cross, or you're not gonna cross as a witness. And anything else is going to be contempt, 25 days in jail. So, make a choice. Who's like to cross? The officers here. Cross or no cross? Cross.
Maybe recess to think about this?
Okay. That is contempt. 25 days, I am going to suspend it right now though. So he's got 25 days contempt. I'm not going to remand him right now. We'll see how he acts during the rest of this trial. So I hold you in contempt. You've got 25 days. I probably could have done that 10 times by now, but I've exercised restraint. 25 days, and I hate doing that. Especially as what you would call traffic court that's not as important as the other ones, which I think it is as important. This is no joke. So, let's try this again. Cross-examination of this officer, yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you. I'll show you a step down. See, excuse you might need him again. You know, I'd like to, if it's okay, I'd like to have you, just in case the defendant chooses to call you, would like to call you since you are already here. During us to stay, please, I appreciate that. Okay. City rest?
City does rest.
You're not going anywhere?
That's correct. I'm just curious whether the court wants, I don't know if the troop needs to stay inside or out of the courtroom for other witness purposes.
That's a good point. And officer, if you could just remain outside in case you're being called as a witness, I'd appreciate that. Just hang out and do whatever you want to do, but don't go anywhere, please. Thank you. All right. The city has rested, and I know you know the next part. I'm going to ask, does the defense want you put on a case? In other words, the city has the burden of proof. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the elements of all of the claims that are against you. you have the opportunity to either cross witnesses, put on your own witnesses, and even waive your right to remain silent and testify if you wish. But you do not need to do so because the city has the burden of proof. So you can just sit there, you didn't have to say a word this whole time, and if they don't prove their case beyond reasonable doubt, then there's an acquittal. So at this point, would you like to testify on your own behalf?
No.
Okay. Would you like to put on any witnesses? Call any witnesses, including that officer back to the stand, because he's still here because I asked him to stay. He's gonna listen.
Do I have to answer yes or no or yes or no? Yes.
You're already going beyond yes or no. Yes or no? Would you like to call the officer in your case? Okay. And do you want to call any other witnesses?
No.
Would you like to present any exhibits to the court, whether it's self-authenticating documents or otherwise?
No.
Okay. So then does the defense rest?
No.
Okay. So I think I've covered everything you could possibly do. Oh, did you want to make an oral motion based upon the city's evidence? That's something I didn't mention. Yes or no? Is it yes or no?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Would you like to present an oral motion based upon what the city has presented thus far?
Can I do a written motion?
No. See, I can do yes or no too.
Do I have any time for argument?
But we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
This is still your
Oh,
time.
no.
This is the spotlight is on you. This is your possible case in chief.
You said an oral motion can be an oral argument or objection?
No, if you want to make a motion, for an example, since there are in pro se, so I can do this without the attorney getting too mad, motion for dismissal because they haven't met their burden of proof, that kind of thing on certain charges. I mean, that happens sometimes in trials or in preliminary hearings when dealing with felonies and gross misdemeanors.
So with an oral motion, I could argue facts as well as law?
No. What you're going to argue is that there's a problem with what they presented so far, they being the city. Would you like to do that?
So that could include facts and argument?
That they presented so far,
Yes.
which is obviously the officer and the three exhibits.
Oh, well,
There's not argument, it's a matter of is there a
Under
motion?
those constraints, I don't think I could do it.
Fair enough. Okay. So with that, ready for closing argument?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You need to outline so there's multiple citations here. So you need to outline them for the court. So whenever you're ready, and you get the officer back here. Hold on a second. Yeah, he's done.
All right, Your Honor, the current case has 5 charges pending: unlawful use of cell phone or handheld device, driving without valid license, no valid license plate within 30 days of residency, no valid driver's license within 30 days, and no insurance security. This court has heard testimony from Trooper Faulkner that he made the stop because he initially saw this defendant driving, holding his cell phone up to his head. The officer made the stop, approached the defendant on the passenger side, began to ask him questions. As the court has not only heard the officer's testimony, but also seen the body cam footage showing that this defendant, not only did the officer see it, but the defendant admitted that he was in fact holding his cell phone, using it as a radio. On top of that, the officer asked this defendant to provide things such as an ID, specifically valid driver's license, registration for the vehicle, and insurance. At no point was any insurance provided to the officer. What was provided instead of a valid driver's license was an Arizona ID card, and the defendant mentioned that he had some form of international driver's license, which was not provided to the officer. On top of that, the registration, no proof of registration for the state of Nevada was provided. Instead, apparently these were plates from Montana. Your Honor,
Let me just ask you, on count, I'll call it C, the C and D counts, no Nevada license placed within 30 days of residency, and no Nevada driver's license in 30 days of residency. I do not recall anything about how long he's been in Nevada. So what I want to hear is about that, fresh in my memory, if it exists.
Certainly, Your Honor. The evidence before this court...
Not to mention, you can argue with any other things, but those are 2 things that I want to hear from you, and then if the defendant chooses to speak, I'm opposed.
Certainly, Your Honor. The evidence before this court proving that he did not obtain these things within the 30 days required is, 1, he admitted that he's picked up charges, he has pending charges from North Las Vegas. He picked these up back in November. On top of that, the officer noticed mail being addressed to this defendant with a Nevada address.
I don't think of the mail that I heard anything about what the date of the, I mean, it could have been the day before though.
There was no testimony given about a date on the
I don't
letter.
want to hear about the letters then, because they're not relevant, because we don't know, and we didn't hear anything about when the mail, I mean, it was standing, what do you call it, the postal stamp, there, I didn't hear anything about that at all. So I don't know how the mail's gonna be relevant here. Go ahead, at least from what I've heard, and I didn't see it, so go ahead.
Certainly, Your
I
Honor.
heard the omission, but I didn't hear the mail, so go ahead. Anything else?
First brief indulgence. I don't believe there was any further evidence regarding those two subjects, Your Honor.
Right, basically the omission of the Northtown case, been back in November, and he's still in town, right?
Correct.
Understand. Okay, go on, I apologize for interrupting, I just didn't want to forget to inquire.
Certainly, Your Honor, no
I'll
problem.
give you guys the opportunity to say you're defendant.
The,
You covered the insurance, you often use a cell phone, and you argued about the valid driver's license, and what I inquired about, 30-day residency.
correct, Your Honor. Regarding the final bit about the cell phone, Your Honor, is that the way the statute is written, it is very clear that a cell phone cannot be used, this is from NRS 484B.165, that it cannot be used.
Go ahead and read it.
Certainly, Your Honor.
For the defendant too.
This is under subsection 1. Except as otherwise provided in the section, a person shall not, while operating a motor vehicle on a highway in this state, A, manually type or enter text into a cellular telephone or other handheld wireless communications device, or send or read data using any such device to access or search the internet or to engage in non-voice communications with another person, including without limitation texting, electronic messaging, and instant messaging. In this circumstance, Your Honor, the defendant was using the cell phone to access data, to access the internet, to play his internet radio as he testified, or excuse me, not testified to, as he stated on the body cam footage that the court observed. The city has met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt on all of these charges, Your Honor, but given the court's questioning, certainly without a doubt in the city's mind, it has met its burden on charges A, B, and E, unlawful use of cell phone or handheld device, driving without valid license, and no insurance security. The court has expressed some concerns regarding the C and D charges, the residency.
There are reasons where he's not concerned, but go ahead.
Fair enough, Your Honor, I apologize for that mischaracterization. But, the
I'm
city,
not prejudging, I just wanted to make sure that I heard about those things. That's what I
understood. The city does believe it has met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt on those two charges as well, based on a number of factors, but most importantly, the fact that this defendant readily admitted he's had charges pending since November in North Las Vegas. And on top of that, Your Honor, while the court has stated that the letters are not relevant, certainly the court can give them whatever probative value the court does determine that they deserve. And those letters did show an address for Nevada. The time frame is not clear, but it did show an address for the state of Nevada, Your Honor. But the city asks that this court find the defendant guilty on all 5 counts.
Defense have been closed, this is your time to make argument. You've argued a lot today, but this is the true time for argument.
Well, as a preface to that,
Hey, hold on a second, hold on. This is the time for closing argument. Does the defense wish to make closing argument? Yes or no? No. Yes or no?
no,
Okay. Let me just inquire further. Are you sure there is no closing argument on behalf of the defense? Yes or no?
yes, sure.
Okay. All right, defendant then, I find him guilty on all counts. Unlawful use of a cell phone or handheld device, driving without a valid driver's license, no driver's license with 30 days residency, no Nevada driver's license for 30 days, and no proof of insurance. Argument on sentencing.
Your Honor, the standard fines for these different charges would be on the A charge, $115.
With the points,
Correct, that would be, I believe, 4 points, Your Honor. On the B charge, driving without valid license, the standard fine is $478. On the no valid license plate within 30 days, I just want to make sure I don't misinform the court, that fine would be $208.
well, these are standard.
These are the standard
That's
fines.
all you're asking for is a standard. You're not asking for like $1,000 for each one, anything like that.
Certainly not, Your Honor, just the
Okay.
standard fines, the city believes that's appropriate.
Okay.
All of these are first-time charges for the first occurrences for these charges.
What about the Nevada driver's license in 30 days?
That standard fine is $208. And we stand find on the insurance charge is $750.
And the only points, looks like the only point of one, I believe, is the cell phone, is 4-point violation.
That's
Right.
correct, this is
Give me a moment before I ask the defendant, 2002. Looks like the defendant's got charges going back, interestingly, in Nevada. Just tells me that's right. The driver's license, it's same charges. Some of them were dismissed though.
The city
I'm talking out loud for the record, I'm looking at the scope now, since we're on the sentencing phase. A bunch of these were dismissed though, I don't care about those. Insurance, seatbelts, reckless driving, found guilty. Okay. I'm taking a look at your scope, sir, that's what I was doing, and I do that out loud, just so that it is a clear record. Would you like to present anything as far as sentencing? So we're beyond found guilty, now sentencing, any kind of mitigating factors why you shouldn't have the minimums imposed. I don't know that I would have the discretion to not impose the minimum, because sometimes they ask for more, just these are general guidelines that Alan knows what I asked for.
Can I ask a question?
Well, again, this is where we do things now, unfortunately. Would you like to present anything as a mitigating factor at all, as far as the sentencing phase? Okay. Let me ask a question.
You said that you found me in contempt and then it was suspended pending
We're not talking about that right now. You're in contempt, there's 25 days hanging over your head.
Right.
What I do with that is my discretion. Let's finish this up first.
Oh, I see, okay.
All right.
No, then, I'm
Okay. So the sentences the sentences do include on the A count, 115 with the 4-point violation, on B, $478, on C, $208, on D, $208, on E, $750. With that, do you have the money to pay today to close out your case?
No.
Okay. And will you have that money within 30 days?
They don't know.
Okay. Would you, I don't know what your work situation is, would you like the work program as a referral to work this out on like community service, or financially do you want to?
Is community service an option?
If you qualify. I'm just inquiring right now.
I'll be interested in
Okay, fair enough. Okay. And we can refer him over to Lady when we get the sentence.
Yes, but you're from.
And by the way, I just want to let you know, for those who you think, the judge can inquire about policies and procedures of the court of administration because the staff is not making a decision for the judge. I'm just learning some other parameters. Just want to let you know, since you had a problem before, so that's what happens in every court. So, because typically for administration, the gals or the guys sitting to my right or left will know more. So, anyway, I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
So with that, okay, so we're gonna refer him out for seeking qualifies for the work program, which is community service. And I'm not gonna impose any of that time. What I'm going to do is the 25 days, we're gonna make sure you comply with the sentencing guidelines. And hopefully you comply, and we'll leave this pending. So you have contempt here in 25 days, but certainly not gonna put you in jail today because you are sentenced and you have other things to do. Do you understand what's going on here?
No, well,
In other words, you can comply, either work off the time, work off the money, or pay the money.
that's what you mean by sentencing guidelines? You said sentencing guidelines?
I don't think I said that. The bottom line is you've been sentenced, and what I'm saying is the 25 days hanging over your head is a good incentive for you to get this get yourself taken care of, or whatever else you're going to do, appeal, or whatever you're going to do with this case. If you're going to do work program and time to get it done, then that's great, and then we're done, and then there's no more contempt. That will be, we call it revoked, and it will never exist as long as this case goes away cleanly and you don't screw up and complete the requirements here.
I don't understand that. When you said that the contempt was suspended, my behavior continuing through the trial, now you're saying it's the behavior even as.
Well, the bottom line is you have 25 days. I can snap my fingers and say I'm going to impose it today. Remember, I'm not going to do that in this case. As you say, it's a traffic matter, okay? So I'm not going to do that today. You have a chance to complete the requirements of sentencing, knowing that you're in contempt and there's 25 days hanging over your head during the pendency of this case. So as long as you complete the requirements of the sentence, you're going to be good. It's kind of like a probation requirement. In other words, hey, if you screw up during the pendency of this case, then you have 25 days to do it. That's what it is.
Well, that's shown.
Yes. Okay. We have the record. I'm being videotaped. There's audio of everything here, sir, I am sure. Unless it's a problem, which,
No, I meant on the clerk's paperwork, or, yeah, they don't.
the bottom line is, we know you're going to complete the requirements and you'll be done, right? You plan on obeying the sentence? Yes or no?
I'll do my best.
That's all I can ask. I appreciate that.
As the plans for us sometimes. I could drop dead going out the doors.
You know, I certainly hope nothing happens to you, but you have a good day. We're all set in this case. Officers, excuse what? Yep. Have a good day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Interesting.
Every day is interesting. And every day above ground is a good day, right, sir? I was wondering if you can argue with that. All right. Take care. All right.
All right, sir. All those digital videos we watched are part of State's Exhibit 32. Were those all fair and accurate depictions of the traffic trial and all the proceedings surrounding it involving Mr. Blandino on August 28, 2018?
Yes.
Okay. And now, you found him guilty of several traffic violations, correct?
Yes.
As well as found him in contempt, right?
Yes.
You sentenced him to a fine. Is that right?
Fine that could convert to community service, what they call the work program.
Okay. So he could, instead of paying the fine, he could have done community service, right?
Right, if somebody doesn't have financial resources, then let them work it off. They don't have to work, and they can work, let them work it off. That's community service.
And then, just to clarify, that 25 days, that's 25 days in jail for the contempt time, is that right?
That's correct.
You indicated that's suspended.
Yes, I wasn't gonna stick him in jail for what he did.
And you indicated that he just has to either pay the fines or do the community service, just do what he needs to do in the case, and as long as he complies with that, he's not going to jail.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, that decision that you've made is final in the Las Vegas Municipal Court, is that right?
Yes,
The defendant still would have a right to appeal all those decisions,
I believe so.
and those appeals would go up to another court, right?
Yes,
The district court, is that okay?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm not a part of that.
Okay. And in fact, were you at all a part of Mr. Blandino's case here, this traffic case, after that day of August 28, 2018?
No,
Okay. So, some time passes on to September 2018. Do you have any involvement with Mr. Blandino?
none,
October 2018, do you have any?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. November of 2018, do you have any involvement with Mr. Blandino?
No,
What about December of 2018?
no,
Okay, January of 2019, do you have any involvement with Mr. Blandino?
no,
What about February of 2019, do you have any involvement with Mr.
I
Blandino?
don't believe so.
March 2019?
Nothing.
Okay. And then we get to April of 2019. Specifically drawing your attention to April 8th of 2019. Do you remember that day?
Yes, I do.
On that particular day, do you recall whether or not you were working?
Yes, I was. I was working at my private office.
And what's the firm name that you work for?
Right now, it's called Olson, Cannon, Gormley, and Staberski, but there was a name Angulo in it before, and it's, law firms morph over time as people come and go. I'm not sure what the name was then, but there was Olson, Cannon, Gormley, and Staberski, but there might have been Angulo too.
Okay, so at the time, Olson, Cannon, Gormley, Angulo, and Sabersky, that sounds about right?
Yes,
And you guys had a law office up at 9950 West Cheyenne here in Las Vegas, Clark County, Nevada?
it's the firm's building, yes,
And is that where you were working out of on April 8th, 2019?
yes.
Sometime in the mid-morning approximately around 10 a.m., does something occur that's out of the ordinary for your person in your life?
Yes.
What is it?
Either I got a phone call or I got an email from the gal sitting at the receptionist desk. Let me know there was an individual there and he wanted to talk to me. I don't remember much else, and I don't remember if it was an email or a telephone call. And then I believe she inquired further, and I had no clue who this person was. I didn't recognize the name. I mean, it's been quite some time, and for me, thousands of cases ago. And
What was the name that the receptionist gave you?
Kim Blandino.
Okay. And so now here we are, August 8, 2019. Initially, that doesn't ring a bell for you?
No.
And just to confirm, was Ashley Williams the receptionist at that time?
Yes, I believe so.
And so she's contacting you, and what does that put you on notice of?
Somebody just trying to talk to an attorney, and it's not really our practice. I probably had 5 or 10 things going on at once. It's kind of the way it is with civil litigation between your emails and your telephone calls, and you might have some documents that you're working on. You're just kind of multitasking, and I said, I don't know this person, I don't have any appointments, so, just handle it. I mean, I'm doing something else right now.
So
Concentrating.
you didn't have any appointment for an individual named Kim Blandino?
Absolutely not.
Most of the time, is it most of the time that when you have somebody come to your office to visit you, they in fact have an appointment?
There's an appointment or a telephone call, and if somebody is coming in and out, it's somebody that I already have a relationship with. In other words, a client or maybe opposing counsel, but it's doubtful. Most things you're notified of, and if people want to speak with you, you make an appointment just because you have other things, and or you could be in court, you could be anywhere as a civil litigator.
So, do you become aware that Kim Blandino is in fact in the building and looking for you?
Yes.
And what do you do at that point in time?
Well, I believe Ashley said, this guy's not leaving. I believe she said that she was scared. So what I did is I got up and a few offices away from the foyer area. This is on the second floor. The foyer area is open to the second floor, so the receptionist is not that far away. I go out of my office, I start walking down the hall, and I hear the voice that we all just heard on the audio. And I'm just like, oh, that's gotta be that guy. I go over, I kind of stand back away. It's quite a wide hallway, and there's, I want to say smoke, but it's a glass that's got some coverings on it so that you can't see up if somebody's standing away from the edge of the second floor looking over to the foyer. And I just kind of listen in and try to keep an eye on things at a distance, seeing what's going on.
And can you in fact see the defendant?
Yeah, see in and out of my view, and I didn't want him to lure him to my presence and have him do something else, or go into the elevator and come up the stairs. It's not like we have security right
And you indicated that you recognized his voice as you were approaching.
now. Oh yeah.
So, it sounds like you're on the second level and you're looking down into an open foyer area.
Yes, just standing back where I could move out of sight if he were to look up.
Okay.
I was just kind of watching to make sure she was okay. I had to call 911. Never happened before. I didn't know really what to do. It was almost a panic, especially when I recognized that voice.
Okay. And the area that you're looking down into that's on the first floor,
Yes, sir.
and is that the receptionist area where Ashley was sitting?
I could see her as well, like a little bit because she's tucked away, but you could see the interaction.
Okay. And as you're watching this interaction, you kind of indicated that you were concerned already. What is it that you're thinking at this point in time?
And of all the years that I've done this, I've never ever had a defendant show up looking for me as Judge Michael Federico. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm on the bench and doing my job, and when I'm done, I'm no longer a judge anybody. I'm just another attorney working, and I was quite alarmed that somebody would actually seek me out to talk about something like that. It's just surreal.
So, do you stay there and watch the interaction?
Yes, I believe it was towards the end, because I think there was a decent gap in time between when she told me that, who it was, and I said, well, handle it, I'm not gonna be seeing this person, and then her saying that he's not leaving. I can't tell you how long I was observing, it was probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay,
I think he was there for over 20 though.
okay. And what do you see Mr. Blandino doing?
The only thing I really remember, other than hearing his voice, I don't remember the substance of what he was saying, but he did ask for paper, and he did start writing something. I think he was doing it on the pony wall, and the pony wall would be, like if the receptionist is there, and this is the pony wall, and then he's standing here, and he had his paper on the pony wall. Pretty sure that's the way it went down.
Okay. I have here in my hand what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 2 and its contents, 2A and 2B. You see what I'm holding up here in my
I'm
hand?
familiar with that document.
What is this document?
That was the document he drafted and left for me, and ultimately was time-stamped, I believe, by Ashley, because that's the way law firms do documents when they come in to get time-stamped. Just to cover themselves, because everything is under deadlines. But for the most part, things are under deadlines, so the time-stamp thing, no date stamp too.
Okay.
I believe it's time-stamped, it should be both, one stamp.
So, showing you here, first 2B. Is this a sticky note?
That was from him as well. Yes.
Okay, and what does that say?
Appears to say, Michael Federico, please call me when convenient. I have the jabs. Okay.
And now, showing you 2A. Did you, from where you were standing, see Mr. Blandino writing on a green piece of paper, this
Oh, yeah.
green piece of paper?
Yes.
And do you have an approximation of approximately how much time he was writing on this paper?
All I can say is probably took him more than a minute and less than 10, but, I'd really be guessing.
Okay. So, as we look at this particular document, up in the right-hand corner, we see a stamp, is that right?
That's correct.
Is that date and time stamp from your law firm you discussed?
It looks so, yes.
And what does that say?
It says April 8th, 2019, 10:31 a.m.
Okay, and is this the firm name?
At that time, yes.
Okay, Olson, Cannon, Gormley, Angulo, and Skaversky.
Yes.
Just, when we're talking about that, who are Olson, Cannon, Gormley, Angulo, and Skaversky?
That would be the board of directors.
For the
No,
firm?
Yeah, basically the bosses.
Okay. And so, they run and manage your firm?
Yes, Olson, Jim Olson, he was the managing partner at the time, it's now co-shared, but they all make decisions together, like hiring, firing, things like that. They have meetings just like a corporation would.
Okay. And then next to that, at the top of the page, what does it say here?
It appears to say Kim Blandino, and then his email and his telephone number.
Okay, and what is that email?
Kim 43792@earthlink.net, it looks like.
Okay. And is the phone number 702-219-5657?
Yes,
And then is this document directed to you?
yes, it says to Michael Federico, Pro Tem Judge, Pro Tem Judge, and then it looks like in parentheses, alternate judge, City of Las Vegas.
Okay.
So it's to me, but it's not the courthouse.
And it's to you in your capacity as a pro tem judge?
Yes,
And in your capacity as a pro tem judge for the city of Las Vegas, you're being paid by the city of Las Vegas to do that job?
yes,
We saw you, in fact, doing that job on all those videos, is that right?
yes,
And the city of Las Vegas is a political subdivision of the state of Nevada, is that correct?
yes.
Now, have you ever gotten a handwritten note at your private law office from anybody who's appeared in front of you as a pro tem judge directing mail to you as a pro tem judge?
Never,
Okay.
never that I'm aware of.
Now, we go down further here. All of these words in this handwriting on this page, were these all from the defendant himself?
Yes,
And can you read that for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
sure. I am ready to begin filing my complaint against you for your, quote, activities, end quote, on the bench in courtroom 1C last year. Giving me 10 seconds to get a drink of water, risking safety of others, numerous violations of the code. I am required by my religious beliefs and practices to give you an opportunity to negotiate a settlement. Please let me know within the next 10 days. My last 2 complaints resulted in letters of caution to the judges. Please don't take this matter lightly. I came personally to your office as a good faith gesture, and then it looks like it's maybe signed King Blandino and then his telephone number.
That's the same telephone number we saw at the top.
I believe so, I don't see the top, but
Yeah? Let's just go ahead and pull that out. 702-219-5657, is that right?
you're
At the
cutting off the
bottom.
top, but I believe it's the same thing,
Okay,
same number, excuse me.
all right. So you observed Mr. Blandino writing this letter, and what happens after that?
Well, I just couldn't believe what had happened, I believe. I contacted my spouse, I believe I told my assistant, told my spouse that we would talk about it later on and figure out what, I don't know what to do. I'm thinking, okay, either go get an order of protection, or an alternative, I should contact the police, maybe contact, the city attorney. I don't know what to do. I've never had this happen before. I was just basically a panicked citizen at that point. Just no matter how many years as an attorney, I mean, something like that, that's, just doesn't happen.
Okay.
At least that was my mental process at that point.
Did you watch the defendant as he finished that letter?
Yeah, I actually watched him walk out the door, and then I ran back to my office, and I believe I took a picture of him getting in the truck with Montana plates that kind of matched up with the video. I didn't know at the time, but he had out-of-state plates.
Okay.
Older model truck. I remember that.
You saw him leave?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he was gone, because I'm thinking, is he gonna be waiting outside the door for me? I mean, what's going on here? I have, he totally ambushed during work mode. It's been, I thought it was like at least a year. You have your activities of daily life, you just kind of move on day to day, and have that. That's what I did. That was my response.
And so then after that, did you go down and talk to Ashley?
I don't know for sure if I talked to her further that day, other than maybe to say, I told her at one point, sorry. I think she was just filling in. Didn't really know her. I think she was just filling in. She had a different position at the firm.
And did you get the note, this one that we just looked at?
Oh, yeah, I ran back and went down to talk to her. Yeah, I thought we were past that. Yeah,
So-
I grabbed that and then I made a copy of it. Left the copy and took the original home, or vice versa.
And so in getting that note and reading it, what did it make you think was happening here in this situation?
Seemed like somebody's coming for me. I had to be concerned. Somebody came to the private law office at unannounced, which nobody does, way out on the northwest side of town. He's writing threats to me. Nothing sounded proper or appropriate. I mean, this is highly unusual. I'm not talking to any defendant about any kind of case. What does he want me to do? Change a ruling or something? I'm like, it's so out of the box as far as ethics. That was my mental impression at that point.
And so you'd indicated that you notified your wife. You had worries related to your family and your personal life in that moment?
Well, I didn't know if this guy was gonna show up at the house or whatever. We have 6 children. At that point, they were all 14 and under. And, I have a family to protect. If somebody's coming after me, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do, properly.
Okay. Did you also notify the municipal court?
I believe it was the next day. It was either later that day, but I think it was the next day after I probably talk thoroughly with my wife about what to do. Because it was gonna be either the police, law enforcement, or just try to get an order of protection. You know, I knew based upon my previous experiences that a protective order probably wouldn't issue for just one event. That wouldn't be considered probably stalking or harassment, just one time. So the next day, I contacted a bunch of different JEAs for the judges in municipal court. In other words, when the places that I sit, I contacted at least two and let them know. One of them knew who he was. I believe I contacted administration. I'm not positive. It's been quite a long time ago. And then because the Metro Northwest Area Command was right next door to where the office is, that next day, I think it was around 10, 11 o'clock a.m., I went and made a police report.
So that would have been April 9th, 2019?
Yes, the day after he showed up.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain of that date.
And so there, next morning, you file a police report with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, after that, another event comes up, is that right, on April 25th, 2009?
That's correct.
And what was going on during the early day hours of April 25th, 2019 in your life?
I believe I was filling in traffic court again. I don't do that very often, but I was filling in again.
In the Las Vegas Municipal Court?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm
And,
pretty sure it was municipal court, yes, municipal court.
okay, and just to be clear, the Las Vegas Municipal Court, is that located here in the building that we're currently in right now?
I'm not sure if it's still on the first floor, but 1C would have meant the first floor, and then I think there's A, B, C, and D under the escalators. That's where those are.
So, well, today it might not be there. Back in April of 2019, it was here at the Regional Justice Center in Clark County, Nevada.
Yes, I remember specifically because they had unusual chambers where here, it used to be back here, we had to go down the hall to get chambers for that courtroom.
Okay. So, you're again working as a pro tem judge, sitting on the bench and hearing cases, is that right?
Yes,
Now, that morning was the defendant, Kim Blandino, on your calendar with a case to be heard?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And did you hear the whole calendar that day?
As far as I know, I heard the calendar, yes.
Okay. And what was it that was out of the ordinary that happened while you were working as a judge that day?
The defendant showed up to this courtroom that I very randomly would be at because I'm a full-time attorney working for those partners' names that you saw earlier. He showed up in court, and I didn't know for sure if he had a case or not. We came in and kind of marched up to the front and plopped down right in front row. And that was within a couple of weeks after delivering that crazy letter to me.
Okay. That event too was also captured on video, is that right?
Yes,
And fair to say that once you saw him in the court, you ordered him to get out of the court?
absolutely. Especially with that letter that he wrote was highly inappropriate. I'm thinking somebody's trying to extort me, and then they're coming into my court. Yeah, I just needed to get out of there before I, did something that wouldn't have been good. You know what I mean? Something happened outside the courtroom, so it's not like I'm going to hold him in contempt and throw him in jail, try to punish him, or try to get backyard justice. It's just a matter of, hey, you got to go. It was almost like panic sitting as I was talking to the defendant.
Okay.
I couldn't believe that he found me in court and is going to be in my courtroom again after delivering that letter.
Okay, I have in my hand here State's Exhibit 31, which is admitted by stipulation. I'm placing that into the computer at this point in time. All right.
Somebody might have whispered
So-
that it was him. They whispered his name because people had known what had happened at my office at the municipal courts. I think somebody whispered, like the clerk or something, that's, and they got my attention first.
Okay,
Not
here,
positive.
here we have a digital video file on the disc that is grand jury exhibit 31, looking at the contents here. A single digital video file that is entitled as follows: 25-04-09-09-47-39_B. I am going to play the digital contents of that file. And we're 3 seconds in. I'm taking it back to the start. In seeing those 3 seconds, do you recognize this particular video footage?
Oh, yes.
And is this fair and accurate video footage of the events that occurred in the Las Vegas Municipal courtroom on April 25th, 2019 with Mr.
Yes.
Blandino?
If this is the one that's about a minute long, yes.
Okay. I'm going to play it from this point.
Driving us $85 warrant. Let me ask you, sir, how much does he owe?
He didn't cast it presently, at this point, just.
Mr. Blandino, that's you, right?
Yes, sir, you're addressing me?
I am addressing you. Let me get a picture of you here. Now, you came into my private office about something. Because of that, you can't be in this courtroom right now. So you have to go.
No, I don't think that's true.
All right, well, I'm ordering you to leave this courtroom right now.
Okay.
If you don't get out within 10 seconds, okay, 10 seconds, you're gonna be held in contempt.
You're out of order.
All right, have a good morning. Don't stop people.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of those events on April 25th, 2019?
Yes.
Now, at this point in time, as you sit there in court, you were hearing some other person's case, is that right?
I was trying to, and the pauses that I don't usually pause too much, we're just kind of rolling the calendar. Those pauses, because I'm trying to maintain my poise, my composure, realizing that this guy that came to my office a couple weeks ago, now I was in my courtroom, what to do. That was kind of me panicking on the bench, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So,
And as of approximately 16 days earlier, there is, as you know, an open criminal investigation going on into the events concerning this fund.
yes, I was informed by some officer.
Now, we're right here at 5 o'clock in the day, so time permitting is not on our side for finishing your testimony, but just a foreshadowing of events. Later on in the day, on April 25th, 2019, does Mr. Blandino come to your law office yet again?
That afternoon, he came into my office with, I guess, a pre-prepared set of documents.
Okay. Your Honor, given the time constraints, we're willing to break here.
Okay. At this time, we are going to break for the evening. During this recess, we are admonished not to discuss or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, in any way regarding the case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media, or read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case. Do any research, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet, using reference materials, make any investigation, test the theory of the case, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way, investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case until it's finally submitted to you. We'll be in recess till tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You can come to the 14th floor. Officer Hawks will greet you and bring you in when we're ready.
Thank you. All right, next jury from jurors, please leave your notebook.